My name is Shawn, and what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to show you how to replace an automatic transmission in a Saturn S-Series. And what I've got here is I've got a 2001 SC2 that the kid blew the differential pin in it and basically blew a hole in the transmission. To take your air box off, first take the breather tube off, pull this out, this hose out right here, loosen up this screw, and this thing will pop right off. Just loosen up this screw right here. Then you've got a push pin, a plastic push pin here, pull that out and slide this resonator box out. And then loosen up. Okay, I've removed all the bolts on the battery tray. We've got a couple connectors here that are holding the various wires to the battery tray. Just stick your flathead in there and they'll pop loose. Here I have taken the ignition control module, the 4 bolts loose. These are 4 8mm, so remove the ignition control module and just set it aside. To remove this transmission mount, pull this 15mm bolt out and it will swing up. You've got 2 13mm bolts underneath there. What I've done here is I've loosened up these 13mm nuts here. Take these off and then remove the grounds that are connected on there. And while you're here, what you can do is take a breaker bar with a 15mm 6-point and you can break these upper bell housing bolts loose, but just loosen them maybe half a turn. That'll make life easier later down the road. Next, what you want to do is remove these transmission lines here. The way these work is you pinch in on them and you push the line forward or into the transmission, kind of jiggle it, and they'll pop right out. And then you've got your transmission, your transaxle temperature sensor right here. Just squeeze on these 2 sides of the connector and it will pop right off, and then another connector down here. Remove that. And let's see, you've got your engine coolant temperature sensor right here. You can pop that off. You've got your computer control to your valve body right here. It's a 7mm. Loosen that bolt up, and then this whole connector will pop off. Toward the back of the transmission, I've got a couple connectors that I want to remove here and here, and those just pop right off. Then I've got a couple back here that I want to remove as well on the shifter right there. And then don't forget your neutral safety switch connector. This one's easy to forget, so don't forget that one. And now what I want to do is I've pretty much loosened up everything on the top, and so now I want to start taking the wheels and suspension apart. Here I am with the front wheel removed, and what I've done here is I've let my car down securely on a jack stand, and I've set my wheel underneath the car just in case anything should happen and the car would want to fall. It'll land on the wheel. Next, what we want to do is take our panel puller and pull these plastic push pins out. You've got one right there. You've got one down here. So get those loosened out, and then you can remove the plastic splash guard. Now we can really start to see our transmission. And so what we need to do is we need to get this strut out of the way. First thing we want to do is remove the brake caliper. And for that you'll want an 18mm 6-point combination wrench. Set it on your bolt right there. And take your 2 or 3 pound sledge and just loosen it right up. No skin, knuckles, or anything. Now what you want to do is take your 18mm socket and take this bolt the rest of the way out. before you get it all the way out there, you want to go ahead and loosen up your bottom. Okay, now you want to take your brake caliper and just tap it off of the rotor here. Alright. If your rotor happens to be rusted in place, just go ahead and whack it really hard in a couple places, and that will loosen it up. Next, what I need to do is remove the cotter pin from the castle nut, and these are my two tools of choice, the pin puller and a pair of needle nose, strong needle nose. And so the first thing we want to do is straighten out this cotter pin so that it can be pulled out. Find the loop in the cotter pin here and stick our tool in there. And then we just want to kind of pry it out, and there it went. Next, what we want to do is loosen up this 18mm castle nut in here. And you can see it right there. That's what you want to loosen up. So just go ahead and try and get a grip on it with your 18mm open end wrench. And we need to break this lower ball joint right here. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shock this steering knuckle right here with my small sledge. So right there I want to shock that on both sides. Now there's a couple different ways you can try and get that thing loose. You can use a ball joint breaker right here, or you may be able to get away with a big long pry bar in here. We'll see if this will work. Oh, yep, it's loose. That was lucky. Usually it does not come out that easily. Now that that's loose, now what we can do is we can loosen up this tie rod end right here. And then just take your mallet and break it loose. Because we want to tap very lightly our drive axle free of here. Alright, so now that's loose. Now I want to take and pry down on this sway arm right here and remove that castle nut. And there it is. We want to take these three 13mm nuts off of here. And these are your strut tower nuts. Okay, the way you want to remove this drive axle here, the CV axle, is you want to position your pry bar right in here, just like that. And give it a good push, and it'll break free, and then you can just slide it out very gently. You don't want to pull on this CV axle. Next, we need to go onto the car, but before I do that, let me show you what I've got. I've got the parking brake set. I've got the wheel chock on the back over here. I've got my jack stand squarely, straight, securely positioned. Over here I've got another jack stand right here, securely positioned, and I've got a wheel chock on the front of that wheel. Now what I want to do is I just want to get a good hold on this car and kind of shake it around. Because when I'm under this car pulling and beating and pushing, I don't want it to fall off the jack stand. So it looks like it's pretty secure. I'd get under it.